Hello again, everybody. This is Derek at ScreamingEagleAirsoft.com. That's right, ScreamingEagleAirsoft.com. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do a troubleshoot for a young gentleman on his JG M4s. I've got the JG M4s right here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to lay it out on the table right here. We're going to make sure all the parts and pieces are there. I'm going to compile a list of all the parts and pieces that he needs, and when we are done, I'm going to give that information to him, and he's going to reply back with, what he wants me to do to the gun, and then we'll get the parts in and we'll repair it. And when I go ahead and repair it, I will also videotape that to let you see me repairing all the parts and pieces that are missing. And then we'll do like a trial test on it, like a little chronograph or something like that, just to see how hard it shoots. And then that'll be the end of that little project. But right now I've got the JG M4s Project going on, and let's get to looking at the gun. All right, here we go. Basically, we've got a cardboard box full of a gun here, and I'm going to pull it all out. All right, he's got his upper receiver right here. Let's take a quick look at this upper receiver. Okay, the JG parts. The JG upper receiver seems to be intact. His outer barrel seems to be loose. It looks like I'm going to take this off. Okay, I'm going to have to repair this part here. This is not twisting properly. I'm also going to have to tighten all this up because it's kind of loose, causing this barrel to be loose. This barrel is supposed to be tight into here, and it's not. It's kind of very loose. Okay, there's no inner barrel yet. Okay, this seems to work just fine. That's not going to be a problem. That's on there nice and secure. He's missing his rubber and he's gasket ring right here for his flash suppressor. Okay, that seems to be good. That seems to be good. Yeah, that needs a little work right there. We can make that happen. That's not going to be a problem. Okay. Okay, this is the charging handle. Everything on the charging handle seems to... Yep, charging handle seems to work fine. Alright, continuing to work with the receiver and the barrel. We need to look at the battery compartment. Okay, those seem to be working just fine. Those are working just fine. It looks like I have both screws that are going to be needed to make this work, so that doesn't need to be repaired. That's good. That can be fixed. Okay, he has both of his pins. I was afraid he wasn't going to have those. That's good. His pistol grip. Okay, looking at all the screws. Okay, here we go. I've got a couple of screws right here. the magnet of the battery is holding them in place here. Not the battery, the motor. Okay, we got, looks like 2 screws to hold the pistol grip on. Awesome. Those are there. Looks like the 2 screws to hold the butt plate onto the pistol grip. The motor plate onto the pistol grip are intact. That's good. Okay. This is the dust cover that will go on the inside. That is fine. It looks like it's fine. One of the screws. There's no threads to hold it in place, so it can just come right out. So this screw, there's no threads on the inside. What we can do, if you wanted, is we could just glue it in place, and then that'll take care of that. I mean, that's just really just for looks. It's not holding it in place or anything. On the real one it would be, but on this one it's not, so it's not necessary. We're going to leave it off, or we can glue it in place. That doesn't hurt anything. Alright, let's go ahead. Okay, let's take a look. We got a little fake gas tube. Doesn't really need it. It's hidden underneath inside here. It looks like somebody has taken this off in the past. Remove that. I could put it back in if you want, or we can just leave it off. It's no big deal. And then this goes on the motor, on the pistol grip. Okay. All right, the hop up and the barrel. The hop up, I can tell you right now, it is broken. There is a spot right there. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It is broken. Yeah, you can see that. It's shattered right there. Bam! So you will not be able to retain any air pressure in your hop-up. You might get some jams. What we need to do is replace this hop-up. We definitely, absolutely have to replace this hop-up. A couple of the wheels are missing. I've got 2 out of the 3 you need. So we have to replace that. The hop-up for sure. On the buttstock, you do not have the little lever that you squeeze to adjust your buttstock. Normally when your buttstock goes on, there's a little adjustment lever there that you squeeze to make an adjustment, because it would fit into each of these holes right here. It would go snap, 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 snap all the way down the line. This is missing that, so you either need to get a new buttstock, or we need to just, he just needs to, it's not necessary for the mechanics of the gun, but for it to be a good working gun, you want to go ahead and get that repaired. One thing, wait, we have part of the pieces here, but not all the pieces, so I can't repair it without all the pieces. So what that means is you have to get a new buttstock. And usually you have to get the whole thing at one time, and I'll let you know about that. Or, as a poor man's fix, you know, if you want to do it this way, what we can do is we can just leave that off of there and just put it where you want it. Wrap some tape around this end, you know, and this is kind of like some camo tape or something like that. Wrap it around there so it won't slide up and down off the buffer tube. So find out where the best position is for him and tape it in place right there, and then it'll be fine. It doesn't have to, you know, just as long as you know it doesn't just come off, because he can operate it just like that. That's no problem. He can operate it with fully closed, or, you know, mostly open. That'd be fine. If, you know, however he wants to do it. This is about as far open as it's supposed to be right there. So, okay. Buttstock, let me write that up. Okay, I'm not going to do any soldering work right now, but as you already know, the wires have been cut, but luckily there are still the clips there, and what I can do is I can splice the ends of the clips onto these wires here, and this is long enough for your battery clips once it gets put back together to go into it. This is fine. This connector seems to be okay. I don't see any problems with that. It just the wires have been cut, and we need to fix where the clips were at. Because all the JGs have that where you can remove the clip and then without having to cut the wires. Okay, but luckily it has the clip, so we're good. We're good there. Okay, the most complicated part, the gearbox. I don't think there's going to be anything wrong with the gearbox, but we're going to open it up and we're going to check it out just to be double checking. All right, before we get into the gearbox and disassembling the rear end of this gun, the magazine, right? The magazine seems to be in working order. There should not be any problems with this magazine. It might need to be opened up and cleaned. There's some gears inside here that might need to be cleaned, but other than that, it seems like it's a fully functional magazine, so don't worry about your magazine. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to move the buffer tube first. Got to take the back plate off. Got me a super long Phillips head. You got to get it down inside there, and you got to hit that Phillips head screw. And unscrew it. That lets you well, somebody put the somebody put your butt plate in backwards. Okay, this guy, man, this guy you got it off of, he really, what did he do to this? Okay, so it's unscrewed, pulling it out. Simple enough, it's just a screw with a little plate to hold the buffer tube on. This plate should have been on like this. Okay, with the male portion of it should have been into the receiver. Okay, never mind. Moving on. Okay, so we got that off. We had to get this screw out because that screw screws into the back of your spring guide. Okay. Yeah, look at that, it came right out. Now it is all the way out. Okay. So we got that pin. Alright, before we can start taking this off, we also now have to get the magazine release catch undone. And that is with a dinky small one. Right there. Man, good guess. Good guessing all around today. Okay, so we got the magazine catch out. We got the pin that goes right behind the trigger out, and that all these other pins are out. So, okay, one of the next things, got to take that out. This is your hop-up guide feed tube. And your wire, I don't know what you call that thing. It's like an arc where your wires are supposed to have been fed through, which it's not. It's no big deal though. At least it's there. Okay. That thing your wires are supposed to go through. Alright, now your gearbox should just pop right out. Good deal. So far, everything about that receiver's okay, and everything that I've seen so far about your gearbox and its accompanying pieces seem to be okay, except for this one piece of wire right here, this one piece of metal right here. It can be hammered down. You could take a hammer to it on a 2x4 and just flatten it out, or you can just take it off and remove it entirely. You don't really absolutely have to have it. It's just an extra piece. I'm going to go ahead and remove it just because it's in my way right now. That screw wasn't even tightened down. Yeah, that thing's mangled. You can hammer it into place though. It's thin enough that you can do that. Okay. Okay, that seems to be working just fine. That's actually the way it's supposed to look. That looks just fine. Everything looks fine. Nope. I take that back. Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to open this up. Well, I'll go ahead and open it up, but I'll tell you right now. Looking at it, your gearbox is split. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to try to show it to you. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Okay, can you see that right there? That's a crack in your gearbox. And guess what? It goes all the way across, all the way to the other side. This gearbox is supposed to be two pieces. It's supposed to have the top piece, or the front piece, and the back piece. And it is broken. Okay. The only thing holding this gearbox together is that and that. Why is it not? Yeah, that should not be on there like that, all loose and jiggly like that. Yeah. Okay, I can hand unscrew this. Being that it's such an even cut all the way across, it looks like it's supposed to be there, but guess what? It's not. I guess your tappet plate's the only thing holding this thing together. Okay, well here we go. I'm going to start assembling it. That shouldn't break like that. That's broke. That's a broken gearbox. Okay, the spring has also been compressed because I can tell that everything's compressed back. No, it's not. Maybe not. We'll find out here in just a minute when I open it up. I could be wrong. This is a 6mm bushing gearbox. We have two screws left holding it here and here. And when I take those off, I'm going to have to maintain a little pressure on this because I don't want it to pop open and then have this spring just go flying somewhere, breaking a window. Alright, so now what I do here is I put a screwdriver in here to maintain pressure on the spring guide, and I hold it down so that the spring doesn't go flying somewhere. There you go. Okay. Well, let's look at your parts on the inside, because they might not be bad. And then in that case, all you would need is a new gearbox. Okay, spring guide, awesome. Spring itself, I'd probably get another spring, probably one a little bit heavier than this. This is probably a 120 spring. You can get a new 120 spring, or you could probably go up to a 130. It's just your choice. The cylinder looks fine. Ooh, no it doesn't. Okay, that's just funk. Okay. Cylinder looks fine. Your piston's okay. But if you, in my personal opinion, if you want a longer life piston, you either have to have a lower spring like a 120, but if you go up to a 130, you're going to want to make sure you have a steel tooth piston. That's my personal preference. Also, this piston head has seen better days. Oh my gosh. It's still okay. It's just seen better days. This is all stock parts. I can tell this is all JG parts. Cylinder head looks fine. No problems. Tappet plate looks good. Yep. Tappet plate looks good. Man, this looks like it's got gunpowder on it or something, you know? Like it's a real firearm. But it's not, it's just grease. Your air nozzle, it looks fine. Looks like a JG air nozzle. Okay, let's take a closer look at these gears. Okay. You can't see that. Okay, looking at your anti-reversal latch and spring, it's good. Okay. One of your ball bearing, one of your gears. Okay. This gear here is busted. Sorry to say. I thought your gears would be good to go. That piece right there should be tight in your gear. Okay, because if you notice, this plate will come off, exposing your ball bearings on the inside right there, and I've never seen a gear do that before. Doesn't mean it's not okay, but I've never seen any other gears do that, and so I would be leery about using this gear. The rest of these gears look like they're okay. No, they're not. That's just full of junk. It just needs to be cleaned. They look like they're okay. Yeah, they're just completely covered in grease, that's all. Your, what do you call it? Your bushings all look to be okay. Yeah, there's a few shims laying around. Which is fine. You're supposed to have shims. These gears seem to be okay. These are okay gears. This gear here seems to be busted. Trigger, everything seems to be working okay. Yeah. It's just completely covered in the old grease. I would re-grease it with some silicone grease or some Teflon grease. And tappet plate spring looks good. Okay, everything inside the gearbox looks good except for the gearbox itself and this gear. I can't remember what gear that is. I think it's the bevel gear. I'm not sure. But this gear, because I can never remember the names of the gears. But this gear right here, I'd be worried about this thing the way it's loose like that. Alright, well, I'll send you a list of my findings in the email. And everyone else, thank you for watching this video. And come back and check out to see what we did with it. We're going to either repair it or what. I'm not sure what we're going to do now that the gearbox is busted. I'm going to send the owner a list of all the things that need to be fixed and let him come out and check out this video. And whenever you're on the airsoft field, play safe.